that it's difficult to do these things.
That has little to do with my question. You're answering a question that I'm not asking, to be quite candid with you. So would you kindly tell me how much how much you're going to cut from the HUD budget as it relates to housing vouchers? Now, if you don't know, it's okay to say you don't know, Mr. Carson. I don't hold you to things that you don't know. How much are they going to cut?
Let's just move on and say that I don't want to offer a number because it's subject to
Why would the Secretary of HUD not give the number, the amount that you're cutting from housing vouchers, Mr. Carson? Because you're the Secretary of HUD. Because you're making the cut.
When the Secretary of Housing can't answer a single basic question about how much money he's cutting from the poor, that's not incompetence. That is policy by neglect. That is cruelty disguised as budgeting. And today, we watched it happen in real time. What's up, everyone? This is True Liberty, where we cut through the political theater and talk about what's actually happening to real people. And today we witness something that should shake every decent person in this country. The head of HUD, Ben Carson, sitting in front of Congress utterly unable or unwilling to explain how much he's cutting from the very programs that keep families housed, seniors safe, and children off the streets.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thank the witness for appearing as well. Mr. Carson, Mr. Secretary, Dr. Carson, sir, you have indicated that there will be substantial cuts to the budget that HUD has. Can you give me that dollar amount? I'm showing that it's about $6 billion. Is that correct?
That's about right.
Is that about 13% of the budget?
Yes.
And will these cuts, Mr. Carson, come from public housing, housing vouchers, community development block grants, and other aid to low-income persons?
They come from a variety of sources, including...
How much from public housing, Mr. Carson?
Probably in the neighborhood of, if you combine all the programs, $2 to $3 billion.
$2 to $3 billion. How much from housing vouchers, Mr. Carson?
Rather than go through a quiz on all the numbers...
It's not a quiz, Mr. Carson. I have the time to ask you questions about things that you should have some knowledge of. If you have no knowledge of them, you can simply say so. I'll accept it as an answer. But this is something that's within your bailiwick, my dear sir. How much from housing vouchers?
Again, you know, I can give you that number, but...
Well, if you would give it to me, I would greatly appreciate it, because I'd like to go on to community development block grants.
Well, here's my point. I agree with you that it's difficult to do these things.
That has little to do with my question. You're answering a question that I'm not asking, to be quite candid with you. So would you kindly tell me how much how much you're going to cut from the HUD budget as it relates to housing vouchers? Now, if you don't know, it's okay to say you don't know, Mr. Carson. I don't hold you to things that you don't know. How much are they going to cut?
Let's just move on and say that I don't want to offer a number because it's subject to...
Why would the Secretary of HUD not give the number, the amount that you're cutting from housing vouchers, Mr. Carson? Because you're the Secretary of HUD. Because you're making the cut.
This wasn't just a rough hearing. It was a masterclass in accountability avoidance. A man entrusted with billions of dollars, unable to say what he's taking away from people who have nothing. And look, if you're new here, you're welcome to stick around. No pressure. Just stay engaged, because conversations like this actually matter. Because what we saw wasn't just a budget debate, it was the ideology behind it laid bare. A government that refuses to name what it takes from the poor because it knows the truth would be morally indefensible. Carson admits there's a $6 billion cut, a massive 13% slash to HUD. But when he's asked, how much from vouchers? How much from public housing? How much from block grants? Suddenly, the man forgets numbers like he forgot his homework. This is the same political movement that demands personal responsibility, yet their own officials dodge responsibility the second it's their turn in the hot seat.
Because you're making the cut.
Because we've already talked about the total amount of the cuts.
Well, the total amount does not help me when it comes to the housing vouchers. I have people who use housing vouchers, and I need to be able to explain to them, Mr. Carson, how much the cut portends for them. How much, Mr. Carson?
Let's hear your number.
Well, Mr. Carson, forgive me for coughing while speaking, but Mr. Carson, you're the witness testifying today. And if you want a moment to ask someone behind you, I would gladly accord you that moment.
I don't want to open the book and look at the numbers.
I see. So you choose not to say how much you're cutting from housing vouchers, or how much you're cutting from community block grants, Mr. Carson.
I want to talk about...
Mr. Carson, you don't get to talk about what you want to today. You get to talk about what I want you to talk about. You get to answer the questions that I pose, Mr. Carson.
Yeah, but I also get to answer the question the way I want to.
Well, you can answer them the way you want, but if you want to show a lack of knowledge, you can do this. It's quite all right, Mr. Carson. So now, how much from community development block grants, Mr. Secretary?
Again, I'm not willing to sit there and
So
go
you
through
don't
that
know
list.
how much from community development block grants?
I'm not going to go through the list, this much, this much, and this much. I think that's
I don't.
not.
I'll move on, Mr. Carson. I accept your lack of knowledge. Now, Mr. Carson, there seems to be a belief among the ranks of those who have opportunities to help others, who have been blessed themselves. They seem to think that the rich need more, that the poor can do more with less, but the rich will have to have more to do more. Mr. Carson, if poor people could do more with less, there would be no poor people. Poor people are not poor because they choose to be. I know about your state of mind comment, but they're not poor because they choose to be poor. Have you not noticed, just for edification purposes, and I'm sure that you're aware of it, but there may be people who are listening who are not. Black unemployment, Mr. Carson, is always, with some exceptions, about twice that of white unemployment. There are many reasons for this, but that fact has a lot to do with what people can do with money that they have and what they can't do with the money that they don't have. There are other factors involved in this country other than a state of mind. There is still, Mr. Carson, invidious discrimination in the United States of America. While you may not suffer it, there are others who do. And they need to know what you plan to do, and I regret that you're unable to tell us today. I yield back the balance of my time, Mr. Chairman.
The positions that you ascribe to me are your opinion of what I think. They're not what I think.
Mr. Chairman, if he chooses to respond and say this, I then ask that I be allowed to let him know that my positions
The
are
time
what
of
you
the gentleman
articulated
has
and did not articulate.
expired. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from...
Conservatives love to frame budget cuts as efficiency, but there is nothing efficient about ripping housing vouchers away from working-class families. There is nothing efficient about slashing community grants that keep roofs repaired, neighborhoods safe, and shelters functioning. This isn't streamlining. This is strategic abandonment. Carson tries to hide behind the total cut, as if that solves anything. But housing policy doesn't work in totals, it works in categories. Vouchers, public housing, block grants, homeless services. Each serves different populations, with different needs. If he can't or won't say how each is getting gutted, it means one thing. The cuts are politically and morally indefensible on their own. And then came the real heart of the issue. The congressman laid out what conservatives refuse to admit. You cannot tell poor people to do more with less, while giving tax cuts to billionaires and subsidies to corporations. Poverty is not a personal failure. Poverty is the predictable outcome of political choices. It is engineered. Policies create poverty. Policies reinforce poverty. Policies maintain poverty. And the people who refuse to give numbers know that revealing the truth would expose the cruelty baked into their agenda. This cuts to a deeper American truth. Structural inequality is not an accident. Housing discrimination, redlining, predatory lending, segregation created a racial wealth gap that still shapes who can live where, who can own property, who can build generational security. And when Carson dismisses poverty as a state of mind, he erases the economic violence of low wages, the racial disparities in employment, the historic theft of black wealth, the ongoing discrimination in rental markets. We're not talking about mindset. We're talking about structural barriers deliberately built and politically maintained. This is about democratic accountability. This is about whether the government serves people or protects entrenched interests. And today, the Secretary of HUD made his position painfully clear. He's not here to defend the poor, he's here to defend the cuts. What we saw in that hearing wasn't just a failure of competence, it was a failure of moral leadership. If you're going to take billions from struggling families, you should at least have the courage to say the number out loud. But courage isn't part of the ideology. Silence is. Deflection is. Erasure is. This is why we fight. This is why we speak up. And this is why voices like yours and mine matter. Stay engaged. Stay loud. Stay human. This is True Liberty, signing off.